Today's episode of DRL is brought to you by Hella Cocktail Company. My guests don't just come to DRL for me. They also come for the cocktails. Luckily, my friends at Hella Cocktail Company have my back. These guys make amazing mixes, from Bloody Mary to Margarita to Moscow Mule. They also make cocktail bitters, my secret ingredient, and now yours too. It's easy to feel like the best bartender in town when every bottle comes with a simple recipe on it. Hella Cocktail Company, bold flavor, real ingredients, hospitality. Mixing it up since 2011. Shop the collection on Amazon Prime or use code DRL online at hellacocktail.co for free shipping. Hello, my lovely listeners. Welcome back to another episode of DRL, where we're talking everything dating, relationships, and love. I'm your host, Tanisha Wood. So I actually had a really fun weekend because one of my best friends is in town with her wife, her Prego wife. So I've been showing them around New York City and we've been doing some fun stuff. So tonight with me, I have Jodi and Kendra. Hi, guys.
Hey.
How's it going?
It's going really good. Yeah, really good.
They're visiting from South Carolina. What was your favorite thing about New York?
The Met.
The Met Museum?
The Met. And Central Park.
It sounded like you said the men at first. I was like, really?
The men of New York.
I hadn't imagined that as your favorite part, but you know, with the lesbian thing and all. But hey, to each his own. So you like the Met and the men. Kendra, what'd you like?
Not the men.
Okay, just the Met. So the interesting thing about Jodi and Kendra is that Jodi used to be married to a man.
I did. This is facts. Straight facts.
Okay, so we'll sort of get into it right away. How did you end up now married to a woman after being with men, having children with men? How did this come about?
I think maybe at about 17, I could pinpoint when I started having feelings about women, but I just really wasn't willing to broadcast it. And I really wanted to have children. And at a young age, I felt like the way to have children was to be with a man, kind of playing by the rules, so to say, and married a man.
Okay, so we've known each other since we were like 12, right?
Yes.
How come at 17 then? I knew you when I was 17, obviously. How come you never said this?
I don't really know if I really knew the right words to say to you or to my parents, who are pretty liberal. I mean, they're, from Cedar Rapids, but moved to Minneapolis to be together. They're an interracial couple. So it definitely wasn't the fact that I didn't have supportive people behind me. I don't know what it was. I can't really tell you. I just know that that's when I started fucking around with women.
When you were 17?
Yeah.
You never told me this.
I didn't have sex with a woman until in my 20s, but that's when I started really kind of entertaining the thought I would just make out with girls.
Kendra's not the first woman you've been with?
No.
I never knew this. So you sort of were coming into your own, maybe not necessarily knowing how or what to express. What made you take that leap? And also explain your backstory of relationships and your marriage, etc.
I chose really shitty men and ended up unhappy all of the time. And so I think that led to meeting Kendra. I think, it's so cliche, it's the universe, but that's really what I feel like it was. She literally was in a room and I walked through, and it was just chemistry that is, I don't know that I can explain it. And it was undeniable. And it just, the friendship sparked. And I think that that's what's so important about a relationship that's really meaningful, at least personally to me, that it started on friendship, and we just really were able to love every part of each other before we actually started to date.
Okay, let me ask you this. Do you think that dating really shitty men had anything to do with your decision to date women?
No, I think it just was a part of my journey. It could be a part of anyone's journey. It's just the way that it was supposed to happen. I don't know that I had any control over it. It's just the way that it was supposed to happen.
Do you think that had it not been for Kendra, you would still be dating men?
That's a really good question, Tanisha. Maybe. I know I wouldn't be married still. I definitely would have laid the hammer down. I'm not going to continue in this unhealthy marriage. But I don't know. I think I probably still would have been with men, but I probably would have low key fucked with bitches still.
Do you think that, do you consider yourself bisexual? Or what do you, not to put a label on you, but
yeah, I don't really like labels.
Hold on, Frost. Let's just start with this. All queer people,
LGBTQ community.
Y'all favorite label is I don't like labels. That's y'all's favorite label. So let's put aside the fact that nobody likes labels. We know. We all don't like to fit in a box. We all like to expand and grow and be who we want to be. Yes, we get that. But if you had to pick a label, what label would you pick?
I don't consider myself bisexual because I really genuinely feel like I belong with a woman. Mm-hmm. But if I were to put a label on myself, it would be gay or a lesbian, whatever label that would be to society. I mean, I really don't give a shit what society thinks of me, but I mean, I'm gay. And when people ask, I'll say I'm gay because that's the easiest thing to say. Sometimes people like me to break it down even more. I'm a lesbian because I'm with a woman, but it's just really what it boils down to is love.
Hi, Kendra. Hey. So Kendra, what's your story in terms of sexuality and how you guys ended up where you are today as a married couple expecting a baby?
Well, first of all, she didn't say that whenever I walked into a room. It wasn't a room. It was our workplace. It was in school. So it wasn't in the club.
Whenever she walked into that classroom.
Right, exactly. It wasn't we were kicking it. I think it was something that I've always wanted, I guess. I've always been gay. I mean, I messed with men to hide that I was lesbian since as far back I can remember.
So you always knew, I don't even mess with y'all, but I'm messing with y'all just because I need to put up this facade real.
I was always hanging out with boys. I always did what my brothers did, from as far back as I can remember. So that probably groomed me for the actual me being a lesbian my whole life.
Right.
So
when did you decide to come out?
To my mom, my senior year in college.
Did she already know?
She did.
Did you know she knew?
I didn't. I had a good feeling. But when I told her, it was more so because I was already on my own. So if she didn't agree with it and didn't want to be a part of my life, I would have been fine. I didn't need her support.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right.
So that's when I decided to tell her when that was happening. But I knew it wasn't going to be any different than what her outcome was just always support me.
Right.
So, but yeah, I finally told her, and it was the biggest weight off my shoulders because this whole time I've been so scared to tell her. You know what I mean?
What did you think she was going to do?
I don't know. It wasn't even her. I don't even think I was worried about telling her. I think I was just worried for myself.
Right.
It wasn't anything to do with anybody else. But once I told her, I didn't give a fuck who knew.
Right.
Told everybody. I didn't care because my mom already knew. She was the first one to know, you know? Obviously, she knew probably way back when I was 5.
Right. She's like, oh, yeah, I knew that shit in kindergarten.
So, but she never said anything. She was just waiting for me to tell her.
So you played college basketball.
I did.
The other day, I forget who was over here, but we just happened to be watching a WNBA documentary. And I was like, it just looked like a lot of them might be lesbians. Is it really that way generally on your college basketball team where a lot of the women on there are lesbians? And is it a thing or is it just me looking at a bunch of sporty looking women and making an assumption because they don't have their hair done, nails done. And I'm like, well, you must be gay if your nails aren't done. That's very small minded of me, but is it a real thing or is it an imagined stereotype?
I think it can be both. I can only come from one school.
Right.
Or even 2. My first school, the majority of the basketball team, women's basketball team, was lesbian. They were probably out of the 15 that we had, 9 or 10 were lesbians.
Wow.
So, I mean, that was a large. Then I went to a different school, University of Evansville, and me and like 2 other people were
right
on the team.
At your first school, did you feel more comfortable then?
Absolutely.
Knowing if I wanted to come out now, I really could, and I'd have sort of a community and a comforted space around me already?
Absolutely. And I think a lot of us did, because it was all of our first years in college, you know?
Right.
So hiding that, because there was people that were still hiding it, you know? That's whenever I started really messing with women. Mm-hmm. Like in high school, I went to a small Catholic school. Like everybody knew me in the town. Like,
right.
It wasn't something that I was like flaunting.
Right.
You know? And I actually really didn't even mess with women until I got to college.
So up until that point, you'd only dated and messed with men.
I mean, I was in high school, like
right. As much as you
like,
can really date.
Like it really wasn't that big of a deal.
So you're not a gold star.
No.
Sorry.
No, unfortunately, I don't get that star. Unfortunately, I don't get that. I mean, it did nothing for me. It probably should have. I should probably have like 3 gold stars, but because I did so many times and nothing ever happened. Can I get 5 gold stars? So it's. But I think I did it more so because it's what society was. It's what I was groomed for. I went to a Catholic school. Like,
yep.
You're supposed to marry a man. Like my whole family was Catholic, so I wanted to portray that. I had boyfriends all through college, fucking women on the side, but boyfriends all through college. Like that's what I did, you know.
And so you're just sort of like playing a role at that point.
Absolutely, yeah. And like even bringing them home for Christmas and shit. Like these men, like these guys.
And they really had no idea.
I mean, I was kind of more of a man than they were. I don't know.
But did any of them ever say to you,
never
hey,
once.
Do you like women too, or at all?
Never once.
Really?
Yeah. Probably because they didn't have big balls. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Somebody now would probably ask that.
Right.
Nowadays, you know?
Right.
Because that is a thing it's legit. It's 2018. Like, there's a bunch of gay people.
Right.
That came out.
Right.
So to me, it's like, back then, no. You know, that was like 15 years ago. That's a while back. But to now, oh yeah.
So after you came out to your mom, then you just stopped dating men at all? Or
yeah, well, I mean, I still kind of, after I told my mom, no, I had to go on a search for women.
how was that? Like, so you grew up in this sort of small town where everybody knew you, then go to a college where it's like, okay, like you're seeing more and more people like that. You go to another college where it's not necessarily out there like that. But then you tell your family and you're like, whatever, I am who I am. And you're like out. So being groomed the way you were groomed for 18 plus years, how does one that's newly out be out and go out and like, is it a completely different world at that point? Because here you are sort of dating men here and there, but like, so what, like that song just popped in my head. That's like, I'm coming out. I want the world to know.
It's like a kid in a candy store.
Like, yeah. So what is that like?
But so think about this whole time that I didn't tell anybody. I was dating men, but hiding that I was lesbian. So when I told my mom, I didn't care. I would walk down the street and holler at every girl. Like,
hey girl, hey, you, I know you see me.
Yeah, because I waited so long.
Right.
And I'm like, it literally is like waiting for that orgasm, but not like getting one for a long, long time.
Right.
Like 18 years, 20 years, like that's a long time. So at that point, after I told my mom, I didn't care. That was the first thing I told people in interviews. I'm a lesbian. I like women.
Like for a job interview?
Yeah.
What does that got to do with the job?
Because back then it did. It's kind of silly, but because I lived hiding it for so long, that it's important to me that they know. It's important to me that whoever I'm working for understands that that's who I am, and I want to be upfront with them about it.
Right.
You know, if they tell me no, cool, I'll find another job. But I want them to know that.
Right. So what was your first, I guess, out lesbian experience like, or relationship?
I don't know. It's
Is that Emily?
Yeah, probably. My friend's Emily. That was like a college thing. But it was still like we were together, but like didn't tell anybody we were together.
Even though
like
you were
lovers
out.
by day, fuckers by night. You know what I mean? Like that's just what we did. Like, but like I hung out with her family, like I met her family. You know, like we did things together
Because she wasn't out.
Right.
Okay.
And
So
she's not gay.
Yeah, and she's not. She's married to a man with like 3 kids.
Okay.
So
Got it. So for her, it was that one time in college.
Yes, but
Got
it lasted 3 years. Like it wasn't that one time in college. It was just
all of college. Hold on. So all of college.
It was just on a down low, like extreme down low.
Wow.
So,
Did she date any women after that?
no.
Wow. Interesting.
Gold star?
She's trying to earn that gold star. No
I guess
what.
you get your gold star back.
So
Like, and didn't you guys break up and then like live together and still like when you guys broke up, like you were inviting women over to your guys because they lived together like in college in their dorm. So like she would
that made
like,
things easy.
Have bitches over and then like Emily would have dudes over and it was like just kind of got awkward for a while. But they're still friends. Like when Kendra got pregnant, like Emily was one of the first people that she texted and let know.
Wow.
Like, they're still really good friends.
So, okay. So at this point in college now, you've come into your own, you've been dating, et cetera, et cetera. Did you ever date women that only dated men, like in a relationship prior to Jodi at that point?
yes.
What is that experience like in terms of like your emotions with it? Are you thinking, damn, this person like might come and then be gone because they're just here on that one time in college thing? Or is this what they really want? Like what sort of emotions does that bring in you when a woman typically dates men and dates you?
Kind of like the guys thing. Like they want to turn somebody out. They want to take that gay person and turn them straight. Like
Right.
I was completely opposite. Oh, you have a boyfriend? Oh, okay. Like it was kind of challenging in college. Like even though I was with somebody, like I wasn't faithful. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so anytime that happened, I'd be like, oh, well, they're brand new.
New kid on the block.
Yes, new candy. You know, so I mean that was my mentality at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's completely different, you know, but in college that was my mentality.
Did you ever successfully turn somebody to where they only
Absolutely.
after you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I give you your gold star back.
Yeah. Yes.
She took it away.
Yes. So 2 people.
But is that okay? Do you guys really believe that that's a thing that you can, quote unquote, turn somebody?
No.
Because it's like if you weren't something in the first place, can somebody actually turn you?
It's just the same. I think I might have helped them.
Right, like
I might have
further the
helped
process
them. Yeah,
along
I
and
might,
quicker.
Oh, okay, I'll help you get there, or I'll help you experience that. I'm cool with that. I'm down to be an experiment. I'm cool with that. I wasn't looking to get married in college. You know?
Right.
So I think that's normal. I don't know. I think it's easier now. It's completely different. My mentality.
Right.
Like I'm not here just to fuck around. Like I'm settling down. You know, I've settled down. I want to have. That's why I wanted to have kids, and that's whenever I stopped doing all that.
Right.
Being a hoe. Just being a hoe.
She went from a hoe to a housewife. Okay, Jodi. So back to you a little bit here. You know, you have 2 kids previously with a man. At the point that you met Kendra and you were getting divorced, was it hard for you to fathom just having your whole life been with men, been married to a man, have kids by a man, like that it was going to, like, did you think like, wow, this is going to be just something totally different that I haven't done or experienced before? Like, did you ever think like, I'm nervous, I'm scared, am I ready? Like, did any of those thoughts or emotions occur just simply because, damn, this is just something I've never done before? Like, screw what I am and what I'm not. Just the idea of this being an uncharted territory in a lot of ways for you.
It's a really good question. No, I didn't have any of those thoughts or feelings. The only thing I was thinking about was what can I do to make this transition easy, or I guess for lack of a better word, better for my children. That's really the only thing that I was thinking about, because it wasn't really about me at that point. I had already fallen in love with someone, and I knew that I was going to be with her, but it was more about how do I make this transition from my kids seeing me with a man to seeing me with a woman? Because society, I could have given a shit less what society thought, because my family already knew and my friends already knew. Those were conversations that I had already had. And I think there was a strategic plan of who we were going to tell. So it wasn't really about.
How did your kids take it?
It was difficult initially, especially for my older child, just because.
And she was what at the time?
She was 10.
Yeah.
And she's such an old soul that really the biggest issue was like, what are people going to think about you, Mom? Mm-hmm. It wasn't really like what she was going to go through. She didn't even think that way. It was like, just like, what are people going to think about you? I just don't want people to be mean to you, really was what.
Did you fear that?
Oh, no. I've been through the ringer with just, I think, what society wanted me to be, just because I'm biracial. Like, it was, like, I'm not black enough for the black people, but I'm not white enough for the white people. Like, I had already kind of gone through that back and forth of like not really fitting into what society's view of who I should be. So like the fact of adding like the gay, title to it, like that, I could have cared less about that. It was more that's like, I didn't want my kids to think that I was going to get, hurt in the process. And that's what she was thinking. And I think we did a really good job of explaining to her that's not really a thing now. So it was easier for her. And we had an agreement with my ex-husband that we wouldn't really bring up the fact that I was gay for a while, just because he was younger. He was only 5.
Right.
And he's Southern, and his dad is Southern, and his family is Southern, and they don't agree with that. So it was more like, how do we kind of like walk on eggshells to make this a comfortable situation for him? And I think we waited 2 years, close to 2 years before we decided, all right, we had the conversation with Milo's dad and said, listen, like, it's time. And actually, it wasn't even like his dad. It was his stepmom. So his dad's wife is very open-minded. And she was like, I think it's time that you have that conversation. And so then, like, she kind of gave us the go-ahead.
So prior to that, your son, Milo, just thought you guys were friends?
Yeah.
And just lived really together?
Like, yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing, like, I know people were like, oh, you're lying to him. It's like, we're not lying. Like, we're telling him that we're best friends, and that's the truth.
Right.
Because we were best friends, and we still are best friends. And
I thought I was your best friend.
You are.
Surprise.
I'm taking your gold star too.
I think that's really essential to explain to children, that like relationships start on friendship. That's really what relationships should start on. It shouldn't be like immediate relationship. Like, you should be friends and really like start that foundation on friendship. And do I trust you? Are you a good friend? Can you keep a secret? Like, kind of like setting these boundaries with someone before you have a relationship. That's just me personally. I don't know that that's good for everyone, but for me and for mine and Kendra's relationship, that was important. And especially for explaining it to the kids. Milo, he got it. He was like, oh yeah, you guys are friends. So like, when it did come down to, we're actually married, Buddy, I call him Bubby.
Wait, that's a lot. Y'all went from friends to married. I'm going to need we're dating, and then in a couple months, hey.
Well, that's the thing. Like, we'd been telling him we were friends, but we had already been married for a year.
Right.
And that's what we said.
How did he take it?
He was like, he shrugged his shoulders. He was like, hey, all right, cool. Like, I get it. It was the most easy transition, I think, for a child.
I don't know. I think the biggest thing was whenever his dad got married, he got to go be a part of their wedding. But when we got married, he wasn't allowed to come to our wedding.
Right.
So whenever his dad got married, it was like, now it's definitely time.
Right.
Because they can get married, but we've been married So it's time to tell him, like, look, I'm glad your dad's happy, but don't forget, like, we've been married for a while too. You know, like, we wanted him to understand that we could get married as well.
Right.
Even though his dad and his stepmom did too, great. But we were married too.
And did he understand the concept of 2 women can get married just like 2 men can get, or a man and a woman can get married?
Now he does. I don't think. It took a little while. I don't think he knew that then when we told him, but I think now he understands because even, you know, we're exposing him to a lot more now because he is getting older.
So he's how old now?
He's 9.
He's 9 and he loves drag queens. I'm gonna put that out there, like with all of this exposure to different people and different lifestyles, we've really exposed him to some different things that he had no idea that even existed. And now he's just like, it's really cute. Like, this is his disclosure, like, or disclaimer rather. I don't want to be rude or anything, but is that person gay or is that a drag queen? And it's like, you're not being rude by asking that question, dude. Like, it's legit. I think, like, I have to, like, really give a shout out to Milo's stepmom because she definitely is the one who will do the explaining of things when we're not around. And I love that. And she will call me or text me and be like, hey, like, Milo said, you know, this is gay, like in a really negative connotation. And I like had to school him a little bit. Like, so when he comes over, when it's your weekend, like, just to let you know, like, maybe you could have a conversation with him too. And like, I think that's really great.
That's really healthy that you and her are able to have a good relationship and a dialogue like that.
Well, not only that, which I'm really thankful for, but when he does have questions and I'm not there, she's there to give him the explanation and a healthy explanation.
Right. And not just like, ask your mom. She's the gay one.
Like, and she's so open-minded that she can be like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, I can give you this, you know, answer. Or if I can't, like, let's call your mom or let's FaceTime her right now so she can answer the question.
Right.
Like, I think that that's really, because it wasn't like that during our first year of marriage.
I mean, and it takes time. Did your ex-husband take it personally when you were with a woman after him?
Yes.
So he thought it was something against him.
Personal vendetta against
and now
him.
You've turned me against men.
I think that most men, I won't say all, I will say most men, and I only can say most men just because this is a situation that happened with my mom and my dad. My mom was just kind of going through some shit and she fucked around with a girl, you know, when she was married to my dad. And it was just like the ultimate like devastation to my dad. And like rightfully so, like that was really fucked up. But like the same situation happened then with me. And like, then I finally understood why. Like it's a pride thing with men, you know, they think they're the shit, like the alpha male. And when you leave them or you fuck around with a woman, like the fuck, like they just can't wrap their heads around it. So he really took it personal. I think also because him and Kendra were really good friends. Just fucked up on our part, but you know, shit happens. Like life happened. We couldn't control the way we felt. Like it is what it is.
Right. What did you feel about things, Kendra, during that time, I guess, when he was sort of angry, probably at you, probably at Jodi?
I mean, I can talk to him though. Like I have an open dialogue with him more so than her. But I feel like there was nothing I could apologize for. Does that make sense? Like I felt this was the person I was going to be with. I didn't care who else got hurt at the moment.
Right.
In that moment in time, I already knew this was going to happen. So I didn't really put anybody else's feelings into my mind.
Right. Which is selfish, but at the same time, you kind of, you follow your heart.
Exactly. And I didn't want anybody to get hurt. Like I don't want to hurt people. But at the same time, I knew if I didn't act, I didn't feel bad at the time, but I mean, it was kind of shitty, but at the same time, like there's things that were more important and Jodi was the more important thing. So it was easy for me to put everybody else's feelings aside and worry about mine.
Fast forward a little bit where you guys are at right now. You are like having a baby soon.
Yeah. We've been together for 5 years. Let me just add in the mathematics of it all. 5 years, married 3. she's 6 months pregnant. I think in a relationship, I think like ours or many others like it, like I like to say that we're pregnant because it's not just her. Like we're doing this together. I think that sometimes, not all heterosexual relationships are like that, but I feel like a lot of them are like, we're doing this together. We're pregnant.
Right.
I'm not physically pregnant because I can't be, but she is, and we're doing this together. Although she's physically enduring all of the shit that comes with being pregnant. Like we are doing this together. So we are happily 6 months pregnant.
How did the decision come about to have a baby? Has it
always?
Did you know you wanted kids, Kendra? Did you want more kids, Jodi?
Absolutely. I always wanted kids. I always wanted a baby. As far back as I can remember. I teach, so I like kids. I want my own kids. I wanted to have at least one. It wasn't my plan to have ours. I really wanted someone else to have some first.
So kind of like Jodi did.
Yeah, exactly. So it worked out perfect. She already had kids too, and I just wanted to have at least one.
Right.
I wanted to experience pregnancy. I would prefer her to have all of the other ones to come if we have some. You know?
I just needed that one checkbox.
Yeah. That's what's good about having two women. Like
right.
we can still experience this together.
Right.
So beautiful.
And I can use my body, to make something for both of us.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a really personal question because I know people are wondering.
Come on.
How does the process of a baby between lesbians come about? What was the method for you guys?
Question. I think there's many different options for different couples. For us, we had enough money put aside to try IUI to begin with.
What's IUI?
IUI is just like the turkey baster method, if you will, but like in a sterile doctor's office. So it's just them, or we went on to the California cryobank and purchased sperm.
Do you get to pick the person?
You do.
A picture and everything?
You for free, you're able to choose a baby picture. And if you really want to know what they look like as an adult, then you pay more. We didn't really, that didn't matter to us. We just knew that
I can't have that option because I'd be picking outlandish thing. I'd be like, do you see his left eyelash? The third one from the end? It does a weird curl that I don't like. I can't have my baby with a weird third from the left eyelash popping out. I can't. That cannot be my baby. So I couldn't handle options like that. And I'd be like, I'm not looking at any sperm under 6'5". I don't even look at your sperm if it's under 6'5".
So much.
Yeah,
Luckily,
you have to pay for everything. So
yeah.
Anything that you want eye color, you have to pay for it. Like you have to
everything.
Choose. Like it's everything.
Yes.
It's
so
what I actually pause. I just thought of something brilliant. You know what I would actually use this for? I would pay for all the features, and then I'd be like, actually, I don't want this guy's baby. I think I just want this guy.
How can I meet him? Can you give me his number?
6'5", brown eyes. 6'5" with brown eyes, caramel complexion, just like the sunrise.
yes.
Y'all, I don't know if you know Tanisha very well, being that you listen to her podcast. I'm sure you do. She has a line for everything.
Okay, so you guys tried the sterile turkey baster IUI method at first, and
it was pretty simple choosing the donor because we knew we wanted one thing for sure, and that was that the baby or that the donor was going to be mixed or black because I'm mixed and I have a caramel complexion, and so we knew we wanted the baby to look like me. As much as possible. So that was really, really about it. And obviously healthy genes and, family history. So you could pay extra to find out that information. We did that 3 times, did not work. And literally the universe just knew what we needed.
You
And
and that cliche shit.
I know, I'm such a, I am the clicheist.
The universe spoke to me.
But it's so true because literally someone landed in our lap.
How?
It was a friend of a friend, and it was actually, it started off as a joke she was a teacher at the time, but she also is a cosmetologist, and she was like kind of like low-key, like talking shit about this dude, like, oh God, this dude wanted this weird hairstyle. Let me show you. And I'm like, oh my God, he's really good looking. Like, you should ask him if he'd be willing to donate his sperm. And she was like, okay. And I'm like, no, I was just kidding. No. And she had already sent the text, and I loved his response. He said, I've had a lot of people ask me that question.
Really?
I'm not. Yeah.
You know what? I'm curious, actually. Somebody reach out to me at Tanisha Wood. Please let me know the answer to this question. Do a lot of men get approached for this, like to be a donor of sorts, and not actually like, I want to be with you and we have babies together, but just like, I like you. I think you can create some good babies. Like, throw me some sperm. I'm curious about that, because he'd been asked that quite a bit.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that women probably get asked the same thing, because if you think
what does
about
that say about my eggs? No one's asked me for my eggs. What is that saying about me?
I actually had been approached to be a surrogate for some friends of mine, two men that were married, and I agreed, and they actually didn't end up working out. They ended up breaking up. So I'm really glad I didn't carry a child for 10 months.
You'd be like, one of y'all are taking this baby. It is not mine. It's just in me.
Right. So I'm kind of glad I didn't do it, but I had already been approached. So he had already been approached. His honest response, and I love that he just does not, he's just really honest. He said, I'm just kind of at a place in my life right now that it's not going to work. I will reach out to them if I change my mind. And I kid you not, maybe a month and a half later, he reached out, because Nicole, our friend, had given him the number and said, when you're ready, you don't have to go through me. Like, just reach out to them directly. And about a month and a half later, I got a text from him.
What did the text say?
I think it said, hey guys, I don't know if you're still looking for a donor, but I think now's the time, that I'd be willing to.
How did that first discussion go down?
I thought it was going to be super awkward. Like,
I would too.
I mean, come on. Well, he's coming to our house.
So he sends this text like, hey, I'm ready to have a discussion. And then you guys are like, okay,
so,
come over, let's chat.
We talked about it because it was like, okay. So my first thing was, we got to get paperwork in line.
Right.
This is going to happen. So we're just going to meet him. We're not going to make any decisions.
Right.
We don't know him. He could be addicted to drugs. We don't know what's happening.
Right.
We'd have never met him. So he comes over, him and his sister. His sister's younger too. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think he's like
24,
under 25. So.
Oh, he's young.
So he's a young guy.
Okay.
So he brings his sister. I mean, obviously I would bring somebody too.
Right.
To go to some stranger's house.
Right.
Like, what the fuck? No.
I made him a really good dinner.
What'd you make him?
Spaghetti.
Did I make him
salad.
spaghetti? Oh yeah, I did. I did a spaghetti with a homemade spaghetti sauce.
Yeah, salad.
Did you make him a salad with baby spinach?
I did. Kale.
I don't think so. I wouldn't have eaten it. So he came over, and it was probably one of the most enjoyable dinners that we've had at our house. It was super chill. They were so down to earth. It was like, I felt like I was like, can't be real. Like,
right.
He's not about to say that he's going to have, like, he's not about to give that up. He's
right.
a young guy, very intelligent, like just all these great aspects. I'm like, what the fuck? Somebody's messing with us. Like, who's punking us? Because it literally just
flowed.
Yeah. And it was so easy. They ended up staying for like 3.5 hours, 4 hours. Like, it was a long time. We sat there and chit chatted, and I mean,
the kids were there, so they got to meet the kids too. So it was just like, we knew we wanted the kids to be involved in this process. Like, we are firm believers in like what we're doing in our life, like, you need to be a part of. So they were around, and him and his sister were able to meet the kids, and the kids were able to kind of feel out, because I think both of the kids are really good at judging character, but especially our oldest, she'll let us know, like, no, this is not a good person, or no, I got a really weird vibe. They absolutely loved both of them, and it was.
So at the end of this dinner, he just agrees. He says, "Yeah, I'll donate."
Yeah. He said, let's figure out the logistics of it. When is this going to happen? When do I need to be here?
And like during dinner, we talked about what his role would be if this were to take place, like hypothetically speaking. If you were to be our donor, we want you to know that you don't have any physical responsibility.
Right.
or financial. Like
Right.
we literally just want what you usually put into a sock. We want it in a cup. You know, like
Just the material that it's
we
usually
just,
stored in.
You've been fucking wasting this whole time. We just want it in a cup, and thank you. Like, so he understood like what we were expecting because he wanted to make sure that he didn't have any of that
Right.
responsibility.
He's like, I don't need
He's
a kid
like,
every
I
other
don't-
weekend if
I'm
that's
20,
what you're.
I'm 20 something. Like I'm just starting my career. Like I'm not trying to have any kind of responsibility.
Right.
We both agreed. So then I made paperwork, wrote a paperwork.
Right. So, quick question. What did you guys ever think during this dinner? Like, what's in it for him? Why is he doing this? What's the catch here? What's his reason? What does he get out of this?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we ever asked that question
No.
because it just felt right. He's just very genuine. There's no doubt about, like, he just was like,
But what is his reason? Like, what is his?
He just wants
us
help
to have
us.
a kid. And I was down to pay because
Yeah.
you order sperm from the bank, you get like less than a milliliter, like a millimeter of sperm in this little bitty ass vial for like $890. So it's ridiculous the amount.
Right.
So I was down to pay him something. Like
Right.
I'm not gonna tell you, hell no, bro, I ain't giving you shit. No, I'll pay you something.
Right.
Because I know how much it does cost. And I know that I've tried like 4 times in the doctor's office. I'm down to give you some cash. No.
We actually didn't find that out that meeting. We scheduled a meeting with him to go over the paperwork that we were going to find to fill out. So we ended up meeting him and his mom. And then like last minute, he was like, can I invite my mom? And we were like, absolutely. Like anybody you want to bring. And then, I mean, it was a great dinner. The kids came to that meeting as well. His mom was great. She didn't say a whole lot. She really let him talk and kind of ask the questions he needed to ask, let us ask the questions we needed to ask. And really the only thing she kept saying was, I just love that my son is doing this. I just love that I did something to, I did something right in raising my son, that this is what he's going to do.
I gotta be honest, guys. I love that he did this for you guys. And I love that he provided you with the gift of life and family.
With the juice.
But I gotta be, if Travis, my little brother, came to me and he was like, I met this couple and I think they're really great and they want me to donate my sperm. And, I'd be like, cool. If you really want to be helpful, why don't you offer to babysit on the weekends when they need a babysitter? That's how you could be helpful. Like, and maybe this is just my intuition to be naturally sort of untrusting on both sides. Like on your side, like what do they want? On his side, like what does he want? But it is a very blessed situation because he could have had a sister like me. He could have had a mama that was like, mm-mm. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, but you're not a lesbian. So you wouldn't understand.
And you're really guarded.
no, it's just like, I just was taught to be very vigilant of like people's intentions and, so I'm always taking at least 2 looks at people before
And we were kind of thrown back by it.
Yeah.
We didn't want anything. And
Yeah, like what are you expecting out of this?
Right.
I mean, it was kind of like, well, so you don't want anything, bro? Like come
and
on, you
that
don't want
was-
anything? Like not even a couple $100? Like
And that was the second meeting in front of his mom that he said, I don't want any payment. He's not trying to make money off of the fact that you guys can't have a child together
Right.
naturally. And I think that was like another reason why she's like, I've done something right as a parent.
Right,
That this
right.
is what my son wants to do and that he's not looking for any type of payment whatsoever.
he's a genuine person. So we couldn't see that when we ordered sperm from the Chiro Bank. We couldn't.
Right.
We don't know this person. This was just some random ass person we just picked because of his baby picture.
Right.
Like, I think that was what was more surprising to me is that now we found somebody. We know their character. We know their mom, the sister, like they're a family. We know now a little bit more about them
Right.
instead of some click on the internet.
Right.
So I think that was important because we couldn't see that and we couldn't pay for that.
Right.
Like that wasn't an option.
Let me click the character box.
Yeah, let me have a face-to-face meeting with this guy. It wasn't an option.
Right.
So I think that is also another aspect. He's tall. He's artistic. He's got a great character. So that's awesome. Great. We don't have to pay anything. Sign me up.
Will you at some point tell your baby when they're of age
Yes.
who the dad is?
Who the donor is.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Who the
Yes,
donor is.
Absolutely.
So you'll say,
Sure.
Uncle, what's his name that comes around?
Yeah.
So that's okay.
Because we are, now that we kind of have the go ahead with my two children, or I mean, I say mine, but ours, they know everything. I mean,
As much as kids.
that's appropriate for children to know.
Right.
But we are firm believers in like whatever we're doing in our life that's serious, like our kids are involved.
Right.
So Kalo will be involved in an appropriate time at an appropriate age to know who's involved in
And I
the
think
creation
it's
of him.
important. I think it's important for the kid to know. Obviously, if we did it on the bank, they wouldn't have a clue. But that wouldn't be the choice that I would have made because I want them to understand that we can't together have a kid.
Right.
But this person helped us. And I know I don't know personally, but I've talked to kids that don't know their biological parent.
Right.
And they do want to end up knowing. So why would I keep that from my kid?
Right.
Whenever I could provide that for them,
What was the actual process of going through it?
It's a really comfortable situation. He comes over for the weekend.
So he stays the night?
He stays usually 1 to 2 nights.
Okay.
So we try to work it out, but obviously with our lovely lady schedules, you can't always plan it on a weekend, but we try to do it once a month. And so, on the 11th day is usually when he'll come over. So we try on the 11th day and the 12th day, and he'll just stay the night. And he has his own bedroom and his own bathroom. And he usually brings his computer and, he goes in the bathroom and does his little jazz. And in the meantime, I get Kendra prepped, just in our bedroom. This is all adults listening, so it's not
Right.
outlandish for me to say, there has to be moisture involved down there for the sperm to really get up to the place that we need it to. So, we got to have some orgasmic fun. He comes out of the bathroom and he literally knocks on the door, knock, knock, knock. And I open the door. Kendra's all ready and I take the cup from him. He goes and does whatever he's got to do, clean up or watch TV or whatever. And I literally just suction it up into the, people say the turkey baster method. Like it really is, but there actually is like pieces that we were able to buy on Amazon. Thanks, Amazon. And it's basically a syringe, just a really big syringe.
Right.
And, you want it while it's warm still. So from there, the first time, because we tried 3 times at home, the first time it didn't work. And she knew it didn't work, but we didn't realize that she really knew until we weren't pregnant. So then we knew from there that we needed to do some things differently. And so then she was able to get like in an upside down position. And then I just insert and push down.
At the doctor's office, you can watch it. Like you can watch them shoot it into you.
On a machine?
On the monitor, yeah.
Oh, wow. So you're seeing it go inside of you?
We have a video, yeah.
Who knew?
So what those felt like inside my body was not the same thing it felt whenever we did get pregnant.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like,
the shooting sensation alone?
Right. So the first test I ever took was to see if my fallopian tubes were open. They squirt this dye and you watch it. Mm-hmm. Again, on a monitor.
Right.
You watch it go through and they can tell, oh yeah, it went to the egg or it's going there. Like this is going to work for you if you can.
Right.
That feeling that I had then was the same feeling I had when I did get pregnant.
Wow.
You can, because that's an object inside of me. Like
I've never felt anything go up my fallopian tubes.
it's serious, and it is probably one of the most amazing things, because right when it happened, I was like, that felt different than any other time.
Wow.
So finally, what was it, 4 weeks?
Yeah.
4 weeks later.
Was that process weird? I mean, just the sort of like, I'm handing you this cup now. Like, and then afterwards, was it just like, hey, so let's catch it. Should we grab a beer? Should we?
Totally sounds weird, right? That
yeah.
wouldn't happen. But actually, because of who he is,
right, and
because of how we are, it was so simple. We literally did it, and then we went out to breakfast. Like, it wasn't like a big deal.
Right.
It was just understood. This is
What's
what
that
you're
show
here for.
called? What's
The Handmaid's Tale. No, I'm thinking about The Handmaid's Tale. Okay, on the Handmaid's Tale, for those of you that have not seen it, the wives are trying to become pregnant by the handmaidens, and so the process is, they call it the ceremony, but the handmaiden is the husband is doing the handmaiden, but the handmaiden is laying in the wife's lap and holding her hands, almost like it's simulating the husband actually doing the wife, but like through the handmaiden. And so when I first heard this story, that's what I was picturing. I'm like, okay, so he's kind of doing her like the handmaiden, and Jodi's holding her hand.
Definitely not what happened at all.
Like, in my mind, that's how it went down.
That's funny.
We were willing to get to that point because we wanted to get pregnant that badly, but we're really glad we didn't have to get to that point.
So was that the next step? Like, if the syringe method didn't work, were you guys going to say, and was he okay with, all right, we just got to do this the old fashioned way?
I think he was flexible.
It never came to that? Never got discussed?
It did get discussed, because he said, like, will I have to do what I'm thinking?
No. So, like, it didn't get, like...
Right. I think he would have been willing to do it for the cause. Like, he was down for the cause.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you have been down for the cause, Kendra?
I don't know.
She wanted a baby, so yes, she would have been.
I would have probably, but I think what our next step actually probably would have been was for both of us to go to the doctor together. Mm-hmm. Like him and I.
That would be IVF.
You know what I mean?
Got
so
it.
we would have a different, totally different process.
Right.
But honestly, going those first couple times to the doctor really showed me the exact time that we needed to do it.
Right.
Like, it had to be on a certain day. And if he couldn't make it, then we skipped that month.
Right.
So that was helpful, planning the actual process and what time and when. But that would have been the next step, probably to take both of us to the doctor and see if we could fertilize the egg and then. Got
it. So you've really retreated to being a gold star. No dick.
Negative, none.
How's married life, actually? That's what I want to ask. How's married life been? How has 5 years of togetherness been?
Marriage is tough. That holds strong through any hetero, homosexual relationship or anything in between. I think marriage is difficult, and you need to work to make it work. It's not easy. It doesn't just come naturally always.
What's one piece of advice you'd give?
Communication. Talk about everything and make sure that you have a friendship with the person who you're in a relationship with. Because I think sometimes when we fall short being the best partner, we can be friends. There's always a friendship. We can always find laughter, like, within our friendship together, I think. But we always try to communicate, because I feel like when we've argued a handful of times in our years together, and it's always when we're not communicating effectively.
Mm-hmm. Kendra, how about you? What would be a piece of advice that you would give about marriage?
I'm joking.
Don't do it. Please don't do it.
I think listening as well as communicating, because you have to listen to understand somebody else. And I think with communication comes listening. Mm-hmm. Like, they have to work hand in hand. You can't communicate with somebody and not listen to them. So I think that's probably the other aspect of the communication is listening. I learned a lot from listening, but I also know how to communicate really well. So I think that would probably be the biggest thing. Listen, try to understand, have empathy.
I'm really bad at listening, so that's where it is.
Has it improved? Have you improved since you know that that's something you're bad at?
I have. I think in the beginning I didn't really want to admit it because I've been like that my whole entire life. So she was like, "Listen, I know you've been like this your whole entire life, but you're gonna have to change it."
How did you change it? Like, how did you gain that skill?
Just
that you
trial
didn't
and
have?
error. I mean, I love her so much, and I want to be a good partner. And I think that was like the drive behind maybe changing some things I wasn't really willing to change before her. And that was really what it came down to.
I think reminders are always good. Like when I help remind her, hey, you need to come back, pull back. Then she's like, oh, okay. But before she didn't have to do that. She would just do what she would do, and that other person would have to deal with it.
Right.
I'm not that person.
I am who I am.
Yeah,
so just deal.
And if you don't like it, but I'm not that person. You're going to talk to me.
Yep.
And
I think that's the quickest way to the end of a relationship is when people say this thing. They're always, I am who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you are. But if you want to be in this world with other people, you better learn to change some things that aren't so pleasant. And that goes for personally, professionally, friends, family, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't be on some like, I am who I am. Like, cool. And we love some of those things about you, but there's others that aren't so great.
Yeah,
so work on those.
Swallow your pride.
Right.
Like sometimes you have to admit, I am wrong, or you're right, or you're right. Maybe I do need to change that, or maybe my tone is a little different. To admit those things is the first step of good communication. I had to change a lot.
What did you have to change?
There was things that I went through as far as being a step parent. Like what?
That is hard.
Change.
It is
I
hard.
went from completely single to now I have to wait 2 kids. Like I have to provide for 2 kids now. Like I think that was a huge change for me. Now, did I know I could do it? Absolutely. But the mindset of being a single person, not having, just worrying about yourself.
Yep.
To now worrying about 3 other human beings.
Girl, you're preaching to the choir.
I know. So you already know. That was probably one of the biggest changes that I had to go through. I'm glad I didn't. I think it's amazing to be able to raise young kids into young adults.
Right.
I think that's amazing. You still got a little bit of time on that.
Yeah.
But still, like it's a great feeling, and now to have another one, like it's going to be great,
Aww.
So yeah, it was something I changed. And I think that's probably my biggest one. Little shit here and there, like, okay, clean up my dishes and shit. Like, I would have probably let that shit.
No, Kendra, I have a feeling you still do on that. You're still, I am who I am. And I don't do dishes.
I don't do that.
This is true.
Put them in the sink.
I concur. She does not do her dishes, but I am willing. That was my part in our marriage. I was willing. Like I like to do stuff like that. So I don't mind doing the dishes and I don't mind doing her laundry. She works 3 jobs. Like she's not only a teacher, but she also refs basketball and volleyball and
teaches art classes
and softball. And now she's teaching art classes to after school kids. So that was my contribution to our relationship, was that she was going to work because that's just her personality. I am not a workaholic. I do my time. I do my 9 to 5 and then I'm done.
Right.
Like she's like, I can do more. And so I'm like, okay, if you're going to do that, like I can pick up where you fall back. And so that's definitely my contribution to our marriage.
Can I ask a super ignorant question? People are like, I'm not a racist, but I'm going to say something extremely racist.
Or I'm not racist. My second cousin is black.
Right. Do gender roles come into play in a lesbian relationship?
Not in our relationship, but I think it does. And I think that's just a societal thing. And we see it in other relationships.
I think it comes into our relationship too.
How?
Who cuts the grass? Answer that question, please.
I
do not.
Jodi, you never cut that grass. I already know you haven't.
She taught me how one time.
But you still don't do it.
But I don't know that that's a gender role. Like, that's just what we like.
I've never seen my mom cut the grass. Every time the grass has been cut, it was by my brother or my dad. I've never cut the grass.
I understand, but like, is it really gender? Is it just about what you know how to do and what you're comfortable doing? Like, Kendra's comfortable cutting the grass. I'm comfortable cooking and gardening. Like, I don't know that that has to be a female or a male thing.
I'm not saying that they
well,
are.
You said gender.
Well, the way our society has been set up and still is, and those gender roles still exist. So we have progressed, but they still exist. So within those roles that we all learned, the same reason where you had trouble coming out, because there's certain roles that we come up in, whether that be in our families or TV, the media, etc. And some of us fit into those boxes, and some of us don't. Like some of us break out of that. So that's all I'm asking is, do those things play any sort of role in your relationship in the way that they might a hetero relationship?
Well, I think the difference is that there is no man to do it in our house. Mm-hmm. So somebody has to do
Who's
it.
next in line?
So like somebody has to do. We can't have Milo do everything. He's only 9. Like,
right.
Bro, take out the trash. I need you to cut the grass. I need you to go trim the trees. Like, someone has to do it. So out of both of us, yeah, am I more the tomboy? Absolutely. Am I the one that would normally do that? Absolutely. But I'm also the one that's pregnant, 6 months. So while there are gender roles and things that people would say, what the fuck? Why is she pregnant?
Do you get that a lot?
It actually happened the other night.
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
Someone
at that party we went to with you. One
of your friends said that she thought I was pregnant.
Didn't even look at my belly.
Didn't even look at her belly, and it's pretty big.
Because she thought.
Because you guys told her you were pregnant.
Because we told her we were pregnant, so she automatically assumed that Jodi was the one pregnant.
In all honesty, if I didn't know you guys and I didn't see your stomach, like if you were both sitting down and you told me that, I'd probably have assumed the same
exactly
thing.
And it's an assumption, but it's also what she said. I'm ignorant. I didn't even think about that it could be the other way.
Right.
So now I know. Now it's on my radar for anybody else that says that.
Right.
Now she just learned a lesson.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I'm cool with me being a poster person for the maternity section. Like I'm cool with that. Like I'm totally okay with that because now someone just got knowledge.
Right.
I think it was interesting because she's queer and she said, like, I'm queer. I should know. But
that goes to show you, like, we're still
even within our
sort of
community.
all stuck in these roles that were designed hundreds and millions of years ago, but we can't. It's almost automatic. You have to train your brain to think the other way because your automatic response is, oh, she would be the pregnant one. Right. Oh, she mows the grass. Oh, and we are really conditioned that way. So, I mean, that's why I ask the questions to create a dialogue to just question why we believe what we believe, number one. And two, if it's a problem or if it's being ignorant to certain people or certain things, then like think about how you can change or dissect that so that that's not your auto response.
Right. I think, so I already knew this before you had an interview with someone that was on your show. I think it was one of the first few. I think she maybe have just come out or something, and she was talking about kind of the roles within our LGBTQ community. And it's so fucked up within our community. So it's like already really fucked up, like society's view of the LGBTQ community. And then like within that community, there's so many rules and regulations. And I think it's just really fucked up. But like, if we were to dissect that, like Kendra would be a stud and I would be a femme. Like if we were going by those titles, that's what we would be. But we know that within our community, it's not normally okay for a stud or a dyke to get pregnant, but we're not the norm within our community, and we're okay with that.
Right.
We don't cater to anyone. We're here and we're queer. I just have to say that every time I say we're here, I gotta add in we're queer. But like we are who we are. Like within our relationship, like we just do what feels good to us. We don't care what other people think.
Right.
And
As you
that
should.
should be
That's-
every
you gotta-
relationship.
But I would totally much rather cut grass than do dishes.
For
For
the record, I am who I am and I don't do dishes.
just so you know.
I'm really glad that you guys came on and shared this. Only because one, like I've known you for most of my life, actually.
True that.
And I've seen you go through a lot. I have to say this. I've seen you go through a lot. I've seen you have some shitty people, you know, in your life. And I don't care what Kendra is, man, woman, etc., you know, gay, straight, but this is like the first time I think I've genuinely seen you happy in a relationship. So
Thanks, Tim.
I'm really glad that you're here, Kendra, and I'm glad that, you know, you're making Jodi happy and you guys are going to have a beautiful family to add to.
I think that's important for her best friend to see how happy she can be, regardless of who it is.
Right.
You know? And I think a lot of people need to know that. Love is love. You know, like it should be for real. Like this is what you do.
Yeah.
You know, this is what you strive for. Like you were saying earlier, this is what people want. They want companionship. They want love.
Nobody doesn't want love.
Exactly.
Like every single person wants love and companionship, and everybody might go a different way to get there. They might go at different times, but ultimately, like we're all trying to get to that place of feeling like we belong to someone and something or some cause and just have camaraderie and companionship and love. We all want that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you can see that.
Yeah.
You know?
And, you know, I think that it's important to say that, you know, just because this is our situation and our, you know, our way of walking through this journey called life. That was,
Sorry, was that a Prince?
That was Prince.
That was a Prince lyric.
We are gathered here today to get through this thing called life.
Is she really going to close out with a whole Prince verse? Like, and act like I don't know that's a Prince
Just
verse?
so that y'all know I am
Dearly
me.
beloved, we are gathered here today to talk about this thing called life.
I am a lover of Prince, but you know, like this is our story and this is our journey. So if there's anything that was said that it, you know, like needs clarification or we've offended someone, like I think, you know, hit Tanisha up and, you know, this is good for dialogue because I feel like, you know, these type of situations, like you need to like invite people. Like if you feel differently, like I think that's great. Like we're open to have debates about things like this. Like that's what humans do. So
where can people reach you for if they want to, you know, if they have questions or interested in
you can
what is
hit me
going
up on Instagram. Kendra said, don't call her. You can hit me up on Instagram. It's Jola Snyder.
And please reach out to me and let me know what you think of today's show with Jodi and Kendra. So let me hear your thoughts at Tanisha Wood on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And until next time, wish me love. Hello again, my lovely listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of DRL. If you like the show, be sure to go on iTunes and leave a rating and also write a review. And don't forget to share with your friends and tell them all about DRL. Thank you so much for supporting.